The most news in the morning. CNN's American Morning. Weekday, 6 a.m. Eastern.
David Letterman stunning his late-night audience, telling them he was the victim of a $2 million extortion plot by someone who threatened to reveal Letterman's sexual relationships with female staffers. Here's how Letterman addressed it on last night's show.
I have had sex with women who work for me on this show. Now, my response to that is, yes, I have. I have had sex with women who work on this show. And would it be embarrassing if it were made public? Perhaps it would. Perhaps it would. Especially for the women.
You know, there you said especially for the women. He's sort of trying to make a joke about it. Joining us to talk about the Letterman bombshell, clinical psychologist Jeffrey Gardier. And so this was interesting because it was a very public confession that he made about these allegations. Was this the appropriate venue for him to do it?
Well, I think he really had no choice. The cat was out of the bag at that point, and the public knows about it, and he has to address the public because that is his obligation now.
As opposed to releasing a statement, perhaps, or not having it. I think the question that some people were surprised is that it almost came off as though it was like a comedy bit, but at the same time he was talking about something very serious.
Well, this is the way that he can be personal with this public to let them know what his feelings are, but he did say something that you pointed out, which is very important. It's embarrassing to him, but how embarrassing is it going to be to those female staffers who may be named in this thing? And that's where the real damage will come in. Not to mention the fact that they may have been involved with him, sexual harassment, workplace issues, and so on. So this is a huge problem, not just for Letterman, but also for CBS.
That's what I was wondering about the women who work there. I mean, anybody who works there who's a woman right now is probably worried that the tabloids are trying to dig through their garbage to find out if they had some sort of an affair with him. I mean, it's really kind of a sticky situation for him to go on television and have to, you know, it was almost a cringe-worthy performance. I mean, it was trying to be funny, but it was really shocking.
Well, this is the personality of David Letterman, to be so acerbic in his personality, and so he plays it off as that way. And so this is nothing that should be very different for us to think about him.
Is it another example, though, of powerful men who may or may not have used their position and their fame to get sexual satisfaction or gratification from people who are their subordinates? I mean, I feel like when you came on, you said, here we go again.
Yeah, this is a prime example of someone in a very powerful position who's unable to check the ego. They buy their own hype. And what we're seeing here are unequal relationships. Even if these women said, okay, I want to be involved with you, David, the fact is that he is a powerful person. He is the boss. And maybe even subconsciously, they're giving into his sexual advances, because it could be a quid pro quo situation, or a situation where they may feel that if I don't do this, then I won't be able to move up in the ranks. So it's not healthy. And these are not healthy relationships.
Well, and also, I mean, he's had a long-time girlfriend, so, I mean, we don't know the timeline for this, but I think he's been with her since, what, the late 80s? And she's now his wife. But this is also a guy that ridiculed everybody from former President Clinton to Elliot Spitzer. I know that's what late-night comedians do, but he was really out there sort of leading the charge in some cases. So where does this moral high ground go? You know, can he recover professionally, too?
Well, professionally, we know that he's going to recover, but the real deal is, psychoanalytically, what we see are these are people who are involved in projection. Whenever someone talks about someone else around certain conflicts or issues, it means that they're having issues with it themselves, and so they become to feel more comfortable by projecting a lot of those impulses on someone else. We've seen it with the politicians who talk about issues of sexuality, but yet they're acting out themselves. So we have to be careful. When you're in those positions, we know that you have clay feet, so please don't be a hypocrite. Wow. The lesson that we seem to never learn.
So much personal drama surrounding all of this for a lot of people. We don't even know how many people could be involved. All of their personal drama now right out there on the front page of all these newspapers and tabloids this morning. It must be very difficult for, you know, David Letterman aside, difficult for a lot of people.
Absolutely, and this will unfold and unfold, but let's be honest here. The real deal is the women who are involved are the victims.
All right. Jeff Gardier, clinical psychologist, always great to get your perspective and point of view. Thanks for being with us, Jeff.
Always a pleasure.